All right, to get started here, I'm going to go over some of the stuff in some of the previous videos. This here is a part body, and more specifically, it is the part body, right? This is kind of what they call it. Any other body that I add will, from here on out, will just be called body or whatever you name it. So in here, we have a bunch of elements that we've created, and you can see that there's the sketches here are underneath each one. So this is the parent to this pad, and the sketch, like most CAD programs, after you use the sketch, it becomes hidden, and that's why you see this kind of grayed out feature here. If I want, I can right click on it and I can say hide show, and then you can see the sketch that that was based on. So then you look at it and you see that originally it was a square, so then you look forward in the timeline and you go, ah, yep, there's a fillet right there. This fillet was added to that thing right there. So we'll hide that again. And if you want, you can easily right click on this and go to parent children. It's always really super tiny. That's kind of goofy, but you can see that the edge fillet right here, the parent to that is pad 3. And then again, if I double click on this, it says pad 3. The parent of that is sketch 4, and if I double click on sketch 4, what do you think I'm going to see? Well, the thing that sketch 4 is dependent upon is some kind of a sketch plane, so we're going to see the XY plane that that was based on. And if I double click on that, you're not going to see anything because this is back at origin, or the defaults here. So I have a few different ways to fix this, but rather than try to fix it, let's say that we knew a little bit more about this and we're going to plan ahead better. So let's get rid of the line and pad 7. We'll come back to this later and we'll talk about actually moving it out and around. Oops. So we get rid of that and that. We'll get rid of all the peoples. Okay, so this is back where we're at, and again, here we are, and we say, okay, I want to make an angle, and then you realize, oh, I like it at an angle like that. They should all be at an angle. So then maybe you end up doing exactly what I did. You delete it all so that you could recreate it better, and that's another topic right here as well. Is when you're designing, be fully prepared to start over multiple times. So what I want to look at then is, well, we have these 3 pads created here, and this is kind of a topic I'm thinking how this shakes out is you're inventing something. You don't have a data sheet that you're going off of. You're not building it to some other product, reverse engineering something. You're thinking, let's see, I want this to come up like this. Maybe I want to round the edges. Maybe I want this thick. I don't know. Maybe not. You know, and you're kind of shaking it out in your mind. And so you go, well, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make another pad here. I'm going to make another one like this. But, you know, I think I want this one at an angle. So you're going, you know what? I know I can make a pad go at an angle. And if you don't know that, it's mildly interesting. It's an interesting feature, but I'll explain more along the way. So you go, all right, well, what I want to do then is I'm going to go into Sketcher here, and it whipped around the wrong direction. That should be a different video right there. On how to make a position sketch. So here's my line. I'm just going to make a line, and that's it for the sketch. I'm using this as a reference line that I can create an angled plane off of. So then you pick this, and then we say, okay, we'll grab a square, and you can put it anywhere. You don't have to put it at the end of the line or anywhere like that. So I put it right about here again, and then we pad that up. I don't know, 50 millimeters just to be different. So this comes up like this, and the default is to go normal to the surface that it was created on. So if you hit the More button, there's the normal feature. Remember, in all CAD programs, normal means perpendicular, going away from it. That's the arrow right there, going up that direction. So if you uncheck it, you could be not normal, okay? So you hit the reference here. What's the reference? I want to be that line. And you go, yep, that's what I want to do. You hit OK. And now I have a pad going at that angle, which can be maybe interesting. I would have to say, though, that I have not used this functionally in any kind of real professional, real-life situation. On any situation where I think that this would be good, the rib tool is a lot better. On top of the fact, the pad can only use a straight line. It can't use the curved line. And it always ends in this kind of parallelogram-y kind of normaled surface up here. So as opposed to, again, with a rib tool or a slot, you can have it follow the curvy spline, and the face of this will be normal to the curve that you're following. All right, so anyways, we've done this thing. We have this thing following this line, and then again, let's say we're creating, and we look at it, and we go, you know what? Yeah, that's what I want. Matter of fact, gosh, I think all these other ones here should have been that way as well. All right, so this is where the wrinkle comes in here. You go, all right, well, I'm going to go back in time here. Well, you may or may not even know that it's back in time, but I'm going to go back to this previous feature that I created, pad 4 right here, and I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to change it to this line. So I want to go back to this one right here, pad 4. I want to edit that, and I'm going to go to the More button here. I'm going to uncheck Normal to Profile, and my line's gone. All right? The line is gone because it was created in the future. It doesn't exist in the past. So, and when you go to edit a feature, it is pretty literally like you're bouncing back to the past when this was created. So you only see the elements that were there. Notice you don't see any of the other pads here as well. So we have a little bit of a problem, and that's what we need to fix. So what I'm going to do now is I want to make the line again that we're going to have the feature follow. And now again, knowing what I'm doing here, I'm going to go back in the past before these pads were created. How far back do I need to go? Well, I could go all the way back to the beginning. I think I'll just go back to this edge fillet right here. So after this edge fillet is when we created pad 4. So in the tree here, the way that CATIA works this is they underline the spot in the timeline where you're at. And if you don't do anything with this, then it will always be at the end. Now, just as a little side point, you can screw things up. So if you've ever done this before, if you've ever been working on CATIA specifically, and you can do, I don't know, like you make a feature, you delete a feature, you do something, and all of a sudden half your model disappears, and you don't know why, but you look in the tree and you can see that all this stuff is still there, but you're clicking on it and it doesn't show up. I know that there's these one situations where you'll click on it, and when you hover over it, you'll see kind of like the ghost of it there, but it's not there. And it especially when you're new to this, you're like, what the hell just happened? And so you undo, get back to where you were, and figure out some other way to deal with it. But what is happening there is your timeline gets screwed up, and it bounces, your marker gets screwed up and it bounces back somewhere. And so if you always pay attention to where the underline is, and if you, for example, you screwed something up and all of a sudden all this stuff is gone, you're like, oh my god, what just happened? So here's what I was talking about. It doesn't actually highlight, but you could edit it and there it is, but then you say okay and it's gone. And you're like, god damn it, what do I do? All you have to do is what I just did. Right click on it and say define the in-work object. Define in-work object. All right, so I am going to go back in time here. So I right-click on Edge Fillet 1, put that as the thing that we just finished. So we just, we're back to when we created the edge fillet right here. And now I can go ahead and create that line that I did before. So you find your plane, whatever it is you want to do, make your line. Of course, this would all be dimension most likely, right? And now you look here, sketch 11 is now in the timeline, in the tree, after edge fillet 1. Okay, now you go ahead and you make your pad. Oh yeah, when I do this correctly. So there's our feature. Pad this up, go to the More button, uncheck Normal to Profile, choose your curve, hit OK. Now there's our feature that we wanted. It as well is back in time before everything else is created. Now I can right click, define in work object, the very last thing in the tree. Everything's back. Now, since the line was created back in the past now, right here, I can go to sketch 4 and I can edit that and I can use that line. Then I can go through all the rest of these as well. Oops. So that's a bit tedious, but you get the point there. So that's one way to do this. So now let's say we wanted to go back in time again and we wanted to create another feature. And by the way, this won't this model won't exactly work for this, but let's say just you had to go back in time after the edge fillet again, or maybe you had to go before it, right? Let's say I had to go right back to here. For some reason, the feature being created had to be created back in this time. And so you go, okay, well, I can go back in time. I know how to do that. I go here, I make my element, my sketch, and I pad this up, and I go, oh crap, I wanted this to go at the same angle as that other stuff that I did before. And now you're going, well, crap, I could go back to sketch in here, sketch 11, and I could go grab it, I could delete it, make it again back in time. That's going to cause a problem. So, for example, if I go and just, delete sketch 11, as you can imagine, we're going to have a whole bunch of problems here. So what are you going to do with this? All right. So the first, again, like I said before, instead of fixing a broken problem, we'll do that in a minute. How could I do this better? How could I do this whole entire thing better than making that reference line, which is what that is classically called, in the tree here, sketch 11. Let me move this forward so it makes more sense. Sketch 11 should not even be in this tree. That is a professional opinion, but it should not even be in this tree, because again, if I need to use it somewhere else at some different point in time, I might have to move this around. And if I try to move it around, if I try to just grab this and drag it somewhere, well, one, it won't let me, but if I could, you might break something. So what you need to do is you need to get this sketch out of time. You need to get it out of time, and the way we did that, and if you watch, I have another video on this on geometrical sets. You're going to make a geometrical set, and you can choose to not name it, and it'll just be called geometrical set 1. It's probably better if you give it some kind of special name. I should probably do another video on kind of another side of geometrical sets, as in, say that in this part you're going to have a whole lot of lines. You're going to have a lot of different lines at different angles that you're going to need to make these parts go at or follow, right? So you make one geometrical set called reference lines, something like that. And then in this part, you're also going to be creating a whole lot of separate planes and maybe a bunch of different points to anchor things to. So you might actually create one geometrical set that's called reference lines, another one that's called points, and another one that's called planes. If you don't care, if you're just going to have, if you really think in the future and you go, you know what, honestly, I think I'm probably just going to have a handful of features. I'm going to have a couple planes, maybe a couple lines, and a point. Okay, then just call it references, something like that. So I've returned it back to where it was, and we'll go ahead and we'll do the line thing again. So we make sure that under our geometrical set named reference lines, that it's underlined, saying that we're now, anything we create will be created inside of that. So now I can go to sketch, I can make my line. You can set it all up how you like, all the different angles, whatever. And now this line, this sketch, that line is created under reference lines, under a geometrical set. Now, I can, in geometrical sets, I can make points, lines, planes, and sketches. I can have non-3D elements inside of this, non-solid geometry. I can have surfaces if you're doing surface design, points, all of that sort of thing. So what I can do is I can start clicking on this face here, and I can go into Sketcher, and it's going to start making this sketch right here under reference lines. This is a thing when you start doing more bodies and more geometric sets and different things like this, you gotta pay attention to where you're at. It will let you make the sketch here, but it won't let you make the solid there, and then you'll have a split. Let me just show you really fast. So I'll make my sketch, and you exit out and you go, cool, okay, let's pad it up. Go ahead. Oh, damn it, what? The current work object, the current in-work object down here, it isn't, well, this thing isn't it's not a feature. This thing, I can't create solid geometry in it. It says new solid feature will create after the last feature of the part body. So if you're a button masher and you go, I don't know, whatever, sure, okay, and then you continue on and you go, oh, I guess it works. Okay, anyways, moving on. So you hit it, and there's your feature, right? But now what you have, and this is a problem I have with some of the other CAD softwares out there, you have a separated solid model body from your sketch geometry. So again, as you noticed in the beginning here, as I was pointing out, each pad gets, the sketch gets absorbed under the feature that you make. You know, sketch under this. If it was a pocket, same kind of thing. If it was a shaft or a groove or whatever, same kind of thing. Underneath here, it's absorbed. So anytime I come here, I go to pad 6, I know that sketch 7 is the parent to pad 6, and if I want to edit the sketch that made that, I can go here and I can edit it. Super duper easy. I wish a lot of those would go for that model, because if you decided to make a bunch of sketches and then kind of get to making the pads later, you might, in your timeline, have a sketch way back in the past and a feature in the future, and then a sketch in the past and a different feature in the future, and you don't exactly really quickly intuitively know where they go to. Now granted, almost all of these other CAD programs that I can think of, you could still right click on it and it'll say edit the sketch that made this thing, right? But I feel, again, it's nicer if it goes like that, my opinion. Anyways, pad 9 is right here, but I don't know what sketch made it. I know that I just did 15, so that's got to be it. So the way that you would figure it out here in CATIA is parent-children. So you go parent-children and get that thing over here. I'm moving and zooming the same as you would with the, you know, regular CATIA workbench interface. And so pad 9 is based on sketch 15. And you go, oh, where's sketch 15? There it is, right? Say the tree was a mile long, well, then you might want to go ahead and say center graph, and it will center on it and will find it for you. Okay, so that's how you could do that. By the way, again, you could go here and you could go edit, and you could go right to the sketch that made it, and then you could edit it there, and that would work. All right, so let's do this differently. I want to get this sketch in, I want the pad 9 to absorb that sketch, so we got to undo some of this and start over. So sorry, by the way, it's a nice sunny day here, and I am actually on an airport, so if you can hear a lot of planes running all the time, that's something that is pretty much unavoidable. So anyways, I have my line created. It is here under reference elements, and I want to create it up here. So all you have to do is either right click on the last element in the tree, or you could right click on part body and say define and work object, and that will add your next feature at the bottom of the tree. All right, so now tangent to also more important tree or body elements on how this thing is structured, specification tree. If I look at this, if I open all this stuff up here, oops, let me address that in a section, a tangent of a tangent, how about that? What just happened is I clicked on a vertical branch, if you will, of this specification tree, and anytime you do that, this is kind of a weird thing with CATIA, you can actually turn it off in options. What it does is it changes the computer's focus from being on the part in this world out here to now being on the tree. So what I can do is you can always scroll the tree. That's what this scroll button does in CATIA, which by the way I think is great. But you can also now zoom the tree in and out. So I can make it microscopic, or I can make it really large. That's its intent, you know, that's why it's there, but it happens most frequently as a mistake. And so if I try to roll the part around, I can't do anything, and people are moving the tree in and out, and they're like, oh my god, what the hell, what's going on, oh my god, I can't get my part back. Just click again on a vertical branch in the tree here, and then it comes back, and now you can move your part around, no sweat. All right, keep that in mind. So then my point I wanted to make by opening everything up here, what is the last thing in the tree here? What's the last thing in the part body tree? The best way to probably think about this is, again, think of these as being folders. Part body is a folder, pad 3 is a folder, and maybe sketch 4 is like a thing inside that folder, right? So if you had something, you know, kind of visualize with me, if you had something on the drive on your computer, and you made a folder, then you put some stuff in it, you made another folder, put some stuff in it, made another folder, put some stuff in it. These are all in, say, the root directory. So you got 3 folders there, each with stuff inside of it. You wouldn't say that the last thing in the tree is the last item in folder 3, if you're tracking with me. What I'm getting at here is the last thing in the tree is not sketch 7. It's not sketch 7 any more than the last thing in the tree is this equidistance point 28. This is a thing that's inside of here, that's inside of here. So the last thing in the tree is, if you collapsed everything up, the last thing in the tree is pad 6. All right? So if you want to move this line back to the last item in part body, you right click on pad 6 and say define in work object. That's how you do this. All right, so we're highlighted. Sorry, by the way, highlighting doesn't do crap. Highlighting just lights up the part that's there. It does not move this line back. So if I wanted to go here and make a feature, it would not make it after pad 5. It would still be after pad 6, right? Pad 6. So pad 6 is the last thing created. I want to make my feature. So again, I go here, and now I can make my circle, and I can pad this up. How about 50? And I'll go to the More button here, uncheck this, and I can pick this reference line. All right, so again, I just created this reference line as far as real time is concerned. I just did it a minute ago, but being in a geometrical set, it places it in this kind of, you know, sci-fi-ish out of time reality, I guess, if you will. So that means now, as long as this sketch wasn't created on a face that didn't exist in the past, right? I could have created, if I made this sketch on the side of this pad, that's going to create a link. And that is, you know, the big topic of another video. As long as I didn't do that, then this thing is free floating in time. It was created off the plane right here, actually, right? So that's good. Now I can go back to any one of these features here, and I can hit the More button and choose this as normal to profile there. This is the proper way to do this, okay? So keep this in mind. Try to do this the best you can, you know, when you're trying to think ahead on how you're designing parts. The more you do this, the more you get used to it, the better you'll be able to predict what's going to happen in the future. And until you do that, also get used to the idea that, okay, well, I guess I got to rebuild my part so that I structure it right. Okay. So here's a different part. This is just a thing I made. It's got a bunch of holes in it and a drafted edge, and I've shelled it. It's got a 1 millimeter wall thickness here. And so yeah, I've made it, and then I say, okay, well, I forgot, or just decided to after the fact, I want to put a fillet here. I want to put a fillet on this edge. So I go here, and I pick the edge, and I say I want a 5 millimeter fillet. Preview that. No, let's make it centimeter, right? Preview. Yeah, that seems okay. So you hit OK, and you look at it, and it kind of looks weird. See that? It's kind of glitched out a little bit. You look underneath it here. Whoa, what's this? Other circumstances, you might actually see a split in the part right here. So what's going on here? This part, it'd be impossible to make. It's broken. So what you need to do is you need to make the edge fillet before you made the shell. Okay, because the other part to this is most likely, you know, if you wanted a fillet on this before you drafted it or before you shelled it, you want the shell to match the same surface offset as you do on the outside, meaning the curvature in here, this line, you know, this wall from here, the fillet curve, and then this surface here, all of those would be that same 1 millimeter away from this outside surface. So we have to go back in time again. So let me undo that. And then you go, okay, well, where do I go to? Well, let's see. So here's where my draft was created. Here's where my shell was. The shell was the last thing, so that's easy enough. So I'll do this right after I made the draft. So I'll go define in work object. That puts the underline of draft 2. The shell is now gone. So now I can come over here. I can hit my fillet, catch my edge, centimeter. There's that. Now, when I bring this forward, as long as I didn't do anything that would change or remove one of the faces that the shell was based on, I should be able to come forward in time just fine. Okay, and now you see we have that same curvature right there. And if I were to take a slice through this, that's probably the easiest way. Let me dig out the dynamic sectioning icon. Here we go. So this right here, I pick this icon, and I want to pick this plane right here, and now I can slide a section view through this. Right? Oops, I meant to grab. Dang it. There we go. Anyways, you get the point. So I can slide this through here, and this wall thickness right here is consistent all the way around. So that worked out swell. So let's say now that the next thing I wanted to do is I wanted to modify in the timeline here. I want to change this pattern right here. So if you look here, what's going on is I have pocket 1. Pocket 1 is this, you know, sketch here, right there, and that I pocketed through. Let's go back in time and I'll show you what that looks like. So at this point in time, we just have the disc, the hockey puck here, and we just have a hole that goes all the way through. By the way, if you guys don't do this, use your middle click. If you're trying to rotate around and things all over the place, if you middle click, it will center the part on that feature, and it also centers the rotational, well, it's the rotational center, you see. So if I want to rotate right around there, every time you rotate, every time before you rotate, middle click, just make it a habit, and it'll make your navigation a lot easier. It's also the center on your zoom. Okay, so I have this hole that goes all the way through, and what I want to do is I want to add a fillet to it. I want to add a fillet to it first so that I can pattern that. Okay, so this is, it's kind of a different topic, but this is sort of what I was talking about the nuances, right? This is not just, you know, how do I do this? Click here, do this, and you fix it, right? There's certain circumstances where you end up having to do maybe a couple different things, and it's not really exactly just a CATIA, you know, click this button to fix things. So here's my point. If I go back in time and I add a fillet to pocket 1, circular pattern 1 will not automatically pick up that feature, okay? And then on top of that, the Dassault people, I don't know, it's always been this way in the V5 package that, you know, you can't pick multiple items in here. Okay, yes, you can pick multiple items, but I cannot, after the fact, pick more items. And they're like, no, but wait, there's that little bag there. This silly little bag that they have on things tells people, it's to tell people that there are multiple items inside this, and it's usually an indicator, meaning that you can use it somehow to pick multiple items, or you can just pick them here and it will add to it. So to show you, if I wanted pocket 1 and I want this edge, oops, it just went to current solid. It didn't get it. What the hell? So cancel that, try it again. So I come here, I hit the bag, there you go. See, we can add something right to there. Nope, I can't. I pick this. I can replace it with something else. I could remove it, but I can't add anything there. So this is really, it's been pretty stupid ever since, you know, forever. So what I got to do is I have to go back in time to this, and then this circular pattern, unfortunately, I've got to delete it. There's no way to get around this. Matter of fact, if you ever take the certification exams, there's many of them, for CATIA, this was literally a test question, and it was, I don't know, it's good bad. It's real life, and that's fine. But the fact that they put it on a test, it kind of tells me that, you know, maybe you guys should have just added an add button. The question was literally like, how do you solve this situation that I'm in right now? And the answer is delete it, or before you start, multiply select everything first, right? Silly. So anyways, so we delete this. Pattern 1 is gone. Now, the problem with this that's going to open up a huge can of worms is if this pattern has got a pile of different dependencies or things that are dependent on it. If you delete that, you're going to kill that. And again, that'll be probably some other kind of video that I got to put together on troubleshooting broken crap, because you're going to break a lot of stuff. And if you have to do it, you have to do it. Then you'll spend, you know, half a day staring at it, trying to figure out a way around avoiding, you know, just deleting it. Maybe you could move it around or something like that. But other times, yeah, you just got to kill it. But you can choose to not delete parents and children and all the rest of that, and then maybe go by and fix each one of those things. Again, has to do with links and troubleshooting. So we're going to go ahead and kill this. No dependencies, no big deal. And so now I take pocket 1. Now I can add my fillet to this. Oops. See how I picked the edge right there? The whole surface. And right up here, objects fillet. Be very careful about that. I can pick the face again, and it'll get rid of it. or you can come up here and you can right click on most of these fields and you can say clear selection. And there's that bag again. This one actually works more properly though. But if I catch just the edge, now it's going to show me that. So I wanted to do something like maybe 4. Oh, here's another little tangent note. I want to see this, right? It doesn't have this real-time preview. If I'm clicking here, it wants me to, well, I don't have to type mm for millimeters or in for inches. I could if I want, but I don't have to. But I can't hit preview. The preview button isn't lit up. Find a field that doesn't do anything or ask any questions, like blend corners or parting element section or this down here. Click in it, and then the preview button comes up, and then you can hit that, and then you can update it. Again, more old interface stuff. All right, so that looks okay. Hit OK, and there's our fillet, right? So now I need to pattern that. Now, before you pattern it, hold down Control select the items that you want to pattern. That's the way you have to do this, okay? Then you come over here to my circular pattern, and the reference element is going to be this face right here. It defaults off what I had before, but say complete crown anyways. Complete crown of 8 evenly disperses all those things. 2 elements. See, now it says 2 elements, right? And they list them both in here, but it does not let you add in. Pretty dumb. So you hit OK, and then there's that. Now, as long as I didn't destroy anything, as long as I didn't change any faces, as long as I didn't damage anything that's needed by these items in the future, I should be able to move this forward in time without affecting anything. And now what do we have underneath? Now we have, again, a nice consistent thickness throughout, including the fillets that we added onto the holes that went all the way through. Again, I'll do a cut section here. Right. So the last thing then I want to talk about is how to fix some stuff that you can't probably, do beforehand. There's just, the part's too big, you got too much going on in the tree, and there is no go back in time and fix it before things happen, to completely, right? So what happens basically if you have to move a feature out of somewhere and get it into somewhere else, like another part body or geometrical set. So let's say we want to do something here. Let's say I want to take one of these tubes here, and I want to put the original pocket, I want to put it at an angle. So kind of knowing what we know now, I go, okay, well, this is where it was created there, this is the plane that's kind of by it, so I'm going to go into this plane and I'm going to make a line at an angle, but I don't want to do it now, I want to do it back in the past. So I'm going to go find this pocket right here, and I'm going to add the line before it. So I'm going to go back here, define that in work object, so that's prior to the pocket, and I'll go ahead and I'll add I almost made a reference line. I don't want to do that. So I go here and I'll add a line. It doesn't have to be in the center like this. I'm just putting it there. So there's my line. Now I can move time forward if I want. I can move that forward and say, okay, that's when the pocket was created. Okay, now I'll edit this pocket and I'll say follow that. Hit OK. And now that hole goes at an angle. If I come forward in time, things will look kind of different. Because of the multiple selection that we did, there is a thing in a circular pattern that it does. It says keep specification. So this is the tangential topic that I'm going to talk about here. Is I kind of want to use this, but by default it grays it out and checks it, and it's in the view here, it's doing what I want it to do, but in reality it's not. They're all continuing to go the same direction. Okay, let's leave that be for now though. So let's say that's that, and you say, oh wow, you know what, I did this wrong, I should have put that in a geometrical set, I want to get it out of there. Alright, so you insert a geometrical set and name it whatever you like. I'll just leave it be, and then you grab sketch 5. Sometimes you can grab stuff and you can drag it, and that will work peachy. And do you see that? That worked out really, really swell. Other times you'll try to do this. You'll say, okay, I want to cut this out of here. Now here's the big deal. If you can avoid this, this is the worst way to do this. So you cut it. Now as soon as I cut it out, CATIA instantly updated itself. It says, oh my goodness, if you just cut that line out of there that this pocket was dependent upon, and that edge fillet then was dependent on that, then the pattern was, and oh my god, the draft, you would think that the draft and all this was not dependent upon that, but it changes the name of the surface that it's on. So the edge, the normal 2 edge of the draft was called something like surface 10, and now it's called surface 11 or 23 or something, right? And so now it's broken. So anyways, it broke it right off the bat, and you're like, ah, crap. Well, let's see. Maybe if I paste it in here, all will be okay. I can paste it in, but all this is still broken. Okay. By the way, pasting it in did not cause this error. Every time you do an event, it re-updates and says, oh, we currently still have an error. We currently still have an error. You have an ability down here to turn, there it is, manual updates on so that you don't see the errors, but it doesn't keep them from happening. Anyways, to make this kind of shorter here, I could then go to pocket 1 and it says, oh, the reference direction isn't working. What do you want to do? Well, I want to go here, pick this, and pick sketch 7, but it won't let me. So, and the reason for this is it's there, it's in the right timeline, but it hasn't updated yet. What you can do though is you can create a local update, and you can get it to update this feature. You see what just happened there? The swirl went away. This wasn't dependent on any of these other broken features. So if I keep trying to hit update down here, it'll just say broken, 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 this is broken. And a lot of times it won't fix the stuff that's good. It just airs out on the one or whatever, you know, things that are broken and just stalls. So I've now fixed sketch 6, so now I can go to pocket 1 here again. It gives me the same error. Did you know, your normal profile is broken. So I can pick this, and now I can pick the curvature, and I can hit this, and now everything cascades down. All of a sudden, everything's okay again, and that is a way to fix it. And so that's pretty good. Okay, but if I look around here, I don't know if you can tell, but my direction, it's not working. These things are not all pointing inward. We only have, looks like, just the one there. So that is a way to fix this. Let's do a different thing. So back here again, like I did originally, I could just grab this and drag it down into the geometrical set. When I do this, what's happening is it's an immediate move and update at the same time. The update happens, I guess you'd say, after the move. There was no cut, update, paste, update. There was no time for it to do that in between there. So as soon as it updated, everything still stayed valid, I guess you will, if you want to think of it that way. Okay, so undo this. This is back here. The other way to do this, and this is more helpful because sometimes you just can't drag, be it a glitch or be it part of a design or whatever. You right-click on these items here, and you can go to reorder. With reorder, it will allow you to move this thing around in the tree. Now you can say move it after. So this sketch, I can move it after pad 1, which is where it is right now. So I can't really do anything. Because the yellow stuff means no. I can't put it here, I can't put it here, I can't put it here, I can't put it in this geometrical set. I can't do anything with it other than where it's at. If you have items in here that aren't dependent on it, or it isn't dependent on that, you might see other areas that aren't highlighted yellow, and then you can move it around in there. Now, you'd look at this and go, okay, well, I want to move this into geometrical set, but it won't let me. What you have to do is not trying to move it after. You want to move it, and not before. Let's see if before, no, see, I can move it before pocket. I could move it before pad, right? But that doesn't help me, right? You want it inside. That's why inside. A lot of people that have used this before, you make it before and after the timeline, but you haven't used geometrical sets or anything like that yet, so you might wonder what is the inside for. This is it. So you hit inside, and then you go, oh, it's not lit up. I can say, move it please inside geometrical set 2, and all is fine. So that is kind of the proper way to go about fixing that. So that's where I want to leave that. Right now, I want to do another video, I hope, some point in time on just, fixing things. It'll probably just be a random smattering of little parts I'm working on and then showing that. But what I do want to do is I want to show you, since we do have a circular pattern here and we do have an angle for the thing to follow, I want to show you, oh yeah, look, now they updated like this again. They're all kind of following that same angle. what I want them to do is I want them to all point inward, like I have this first one here. And so this is a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's a little bit of the stuff that we're doing today and a little bit of something else. So what I want to do is I'm going to go back in time to where this pocket was created here, define and work object. And so right now it's currently, you know, going at that angle. That's all fine. The circular pattern is still in existence, but what I want to do is I want to delete it, get rid of it. The sketch is in a geometrical set, so I can use it anytime I want. I'm going to take this pocket and I want to pattern it around this. Now here's the deal here. To get this to work out right, I guess I better show you this. To get this to work out right, I'll define the fillet in work object as well. If I pick both of these again, because the fillet's there, it will not let me do the thing I want to follow this line the way I'm after. So if I say go here, it looks like everything's pointing inward, right? It's got the two elements. The keep specification, I can't mess with it. It looks like they're all pointing inward, but when I hit OK, they're all slanting again. So here's the trick with this. You at least the one that I know. You have to get rid of both of these things. You have to get rid of this. It doesn't like the fillet. It could be because of the webbing here, the thing, it doesn't know what to do with it, something like that. So I get rid of the fillet. I get rid of the pattern. There is unfortunately no way to fix this inside of that I know of. So, oops, now I can take just the pocket by itself and then, come on, pattern that around, complete crown. And then you say keep specifications. Now, keep specifications, in this case, I think it probably works fine either way. The design here is, say for example, you had, I don't know, some kind of curvy surface, you had a plane down here and you pad something and you say pad it up to surface. Then you make a pattern of that and you pattern up, you know, some gajillion of these things and they all pad up the same distance. And so when you say keep specification, the specification is the thing that says something like pad up to surface. That's part of the specification. So then all the elements in the pattern will now go up to that surface wherever it is. So that works out really swell. So I hit OK, and now if you look at this, they're all pointing inward. Even though the curve, the line that it's following at angle is this way, they're each pointing in at that same relative angle from each one. So they're all facing inward. The only downside here is, okay, I got it to work, but now I have to do the fillet after the fact. Alright, so that's done there. That looks the way I want it. Nothing blew up on me, so I can right click on shell, define and work object. I come forward. Now I have the draft with the fillet on it and the fillets inside of each one of those with the shell with the even spacing throughout and all of my features facing inward like I want. So I'll go ahead and stop here. The next video will be on links and link creation or link management. You know, when one feature is based upon another, which is based upon another, how do you manage that effectively so that if you want to change things in the future, move things around, things don't blow up on you. That video, again, that'll be CATIA, but that concept in itself easily applies to all CAD packages out there. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you learned something. And oh, my next video is probably going to be one I've been working on for a carbon fiber. So it's going to be a composite video making a carbon fiber frame for one of the high-speed mini racing quads. So anyways, after that, I'll probably get back to some of the CATIA stuff. So thanks again.